Welcome to the Oracle Scroll. My name is Kevin Walder and I am your host, and I invite you to join my guests and myself as we discuss all things metaphysical. Welcome to episode 17 of the Oracle Scroll. Today, we begin the program by getting better acquainted with the Temperance card, another multi-dimensional card in the major arcana of the tarot. Then I'm going to discuss asking with expectation. How can it change what you receive? And then finally, we have a segment where we take questions from audience members and draw cards to see if we can offer some guidance. And Jackie has written us today about her situation, and we'll draw some cards to see what we can help her with. So to begin, I'm going to talk to you about what I wrote on the Temperance card in my book Tarot for Lunch, Lessons from the Cards. And there, on page 49, I wrote, "As a member of the major arcana family, the Temperance card carries a great deal of power and advice. Traditionally, the word temperance has to do with balance, moderation, patience, and like so many of the major arcana, balance is key. I often refer to this card as the alchemy card. It indicates that there is something which has received little or no attention in our lives, which has the power to transform us, and we need only to begin to notice it. Or, perhaps, we need only to notice it to begin. True advancement requires balance and patience along with the power to creatively fill the void of expectation. The artwork for this card varies somewhat from deck to deck, sometimes showing an individual holding fire in one hand, water in the other, as in the case of the Robin Wood deck, with one foot in the water and one on land while juggling. The Legacy of the Divine Tarot by Cyril Marchetti depicts an angelic being swathed in satin, holding fire in one hand, water in the other, while floating in air in a shaft of sunlight. It indicates taking unrelated items and using them to transform each other into something far more valuable. Alchemy is a form of magic dedicated to shifting things in our lives. The old legends about magicians who could transform lead into gold were the most commonly retold about the process of alchemy. We all possess traits or talents which we may not consider valuable, but this card is encouraging us to use our magic to improve our lives. The act of making a living often distracts us from the art of living, and Temperance is speaking to us of those forgotten or ignored values which will guide us in creating the life we truly desire. When I see the Temperance card appear in a reading, I begin to examine how the querent is using his or her magic in their life's challenges. It often indicates they have undertaken a new project or career based on something they had never ever considered before. This card serves as a beacon pointing the way to trusting your own magic. This card raises questions about the elements available to the querent. How are they making use of the elemental influences in their environment? What support systems are being overlooked while the querent is working at restoring balance and creativity in their lives? By peering deeper into the heart of the matter, we can help each other understand the importance of rediscovering the wonder of living. The transformative power of Temperance is a very positive influence in any reading where this card appears. It serves to remind us of the power we already possess and the need to tap into that inner strength to accomplish our goals. For me, this card speaks of the contract we each have made with the universe to make this life the most meaningful experience possible. How is temperance or alchemy at work in your own life right now? What examples of alchemy can you point to in your past? And finally, what plans are you currently considering which will call upon you to use alchemy? And that's what I wrote about the Temperance card in my book, Tarot for Lunch, Lessons from the Cards, available now on Amazon.com in both paperback and Kindle version. And taking our exploration of temperance a little bit further, I expanded on it just a bit, and I entitled the piece, Meet the Force of Temperance. Sometimes in the depictions of this card, you'll notice some that are more masculine and some that are more feminine, so it's indicating a real balance between the two energies. So I did not assign it a gender in this particular piece. Hello. I am the sometimes angelic figure depicted on the Temperance card, card number 14 of the major arcana of the tarot. I am really glad to have this opportunity to clear up some common misconceptions about my message and my energy. Have you noticed yet that each of us in the major arcana seem to have a particular job before us? Some of us are teachers, some of us are destroyers, some of us are creators, and some of us are guardians. Well, I consider myself privileged to be among the creators in the deck. In most decks, I appear to be juggling while standing with 1 foot on water and 1 foot on land, or 1 foot in water. This is clue to my mystery and my energy of bringing together unlike objects and energies and creating a new, more powerful, more useful device or attitude. Like many of my neighbors here in the major arcana, my name sometimes adds to the confusion as to my meaning and my energy. Temperance is not a word that we use very often in our daily conversation, and its meaning has evolved over centuries to mean something quite different from the original. The word temperance has come to mean in our modern language restraint, moderation, control, and these meanings are not incorrect, they're just a bit incomplete. Referring back to my most common images, you'll see me juggling while balancing between elements and worlds. I'm very relaxed and comfortable in this image, indicating I have achieved all the elements of the above meanings. This is one way of seeing my energy, but it's still not complete, and it needs to recognize the real power of my presence. There are thousands of depictions of me, and they all vary, but one of my very favorites comes from The Legacy of the Divine Tarot by Cyril Marchetti. In his depiction, I am seen as wrapped in flowing robes, suspended in midair in a shaft of sunlight, all while holding fire in one hand and water in the other. This gives a peek into my real power and my real energy. I am not only all about restraint and moderation, I am also about building strength and endurance through a process of tempering, much like steel is tempered to produce a harder, more durable edge, and glass is tempered to produce a more durable and resilient product, which behaves in a predictable way. This is where my true energy lies. By bringing together items which are not related, I can create new items which are far more valuable than the sum total of their parts. Medieval Europe had many tales of alchemists who could transform lead into gold, indicating that something as common as lead could attain the value of gold under the influence of a good alchemist. Thoughts and beliefs are the lead that we work with now, and I am adept at transforming the most useless and lamentable of these into gems of wisdom with subtle shifts in appreciation. I view myself as a creator because of this ability, and I'm sometimes referred to as the alchemy card in some decks. Sometimes they've changed the name to clarify the understanding. My greatest power is in transforming beliefs and traditions into new, more powerful tools for those who consult with me. My energy can shift focus depending on where each individual is in their life cycle. At various points in life, I can be very active in creation, while at other points, I can be very quiet and reflective. It is largely up to the individual to decide which side of me is needed at any given time and place. My favorite place and time to show up is when you feel that every effort has been put forth and you feel weak and disempowered by life's burdens. That is when I like to reveal that there is much more magic available, and I'm more than happy to point you to it. I'm also concerned with making sure each of my followers is taking care of themselves in a beneficial manner. Being out of balance can cause us to lose our footing, and thus that image of me juggling becomes a lot more problematic. I'm all about your own well-being and safety. I am here to say that though changing your mind might seem impossible or at least improbable, I have the tools to help you complete that transformation. I'm here to warn against complacency. This is the exact opposite of my energy. Though I might appear to be disconnected and aloof as I stand there juggling or floating around in air playing with fire and water, I am actually making room for my next creation by clearing my mind and spirit in preparation of the creation about to be born. So that's me in a nutshell, and I hope these remarks have been helpful in letting you know me just a little bit better. The main things to remember are that I am always available and can be called upon whenever you feel the need. Though I am calm in appearance, I am deeply involved in the creation of the new you will enjoy in the future. Leave behind any feelings of despair and helplessness, for they will be changed into some of your greatest future strengths. And that is the Temperance card and the energy that card brings to any reading as you begin to consult the tarot. In our second segment of the Oracle Scroll, we take something that is of current interest and apply a spiritual solution, a spiritual meaning to it. This is an item that I wrote some time ago about asking with expectation. Sometimes we don't even think about what we're asking for, and sometimes we certainly don't think about how we ask. And this was just a very personal observation of mine, and I wanted to share it with you. So, for some time now, I have had a small tradition of what you might call prayerful driving. As I leave home bound for whatever venue, I first express my gratitude for all the guidance which has led me to my current position, and then I petition universe or spirit to keep guiding me. Since I am a bit of a control freak, I am well aware of my need to be here and now, in this moment, and to release all need to control or influence. So my prayer is along the lines of, please keep the signs and messages coming, making sure they are clear to me and that I will not be able to miss them or even misinterpret them. This seems only fair, since in my effort to plan ahead, I could easily misconstrue or completely miss an important direction or message. We all know that when we ask with intent, we should expect that our answers will be direct and unmistakable. We have studied this for many years, and we have a clear understanding of the lack of subtlety often employed by Spirit. Some of us, more than others, need this lack of subtlety to get it. I'm making air quotes around get it. When I was recently hit with a health issue which caused me to become unable to function in my normal capacity, I had to understand that this was a sign and this was a message. I needed to respect that message. Until the beginning of October, by sheer force of luck, I had enjoyed fairly good health and was not currently treating anything. The doctors were often astounded that I had no prescriptions. All that changed on October 9th. This put a year on that. That was 2013. When I walked in with no prescriptions and walked out with 4. I immediately took note of the message, which was a clear and resounding slow down, be present for the here and the now. Next, I set about trying to figure out the bigger picture and what was the metaphysical message for me. After reviewing where I had been in the weeks and months leading up to this episode, I decided that the real message is that I am not in control, no matter how I try to convince myself otherwise. Those of us who are control freaks by nature have all kinds of ways to convince ourselves that we are simply being proactive or responding appropriately to shifts and changes around us. We have found ways to deceive ourselves into believing our story of self-sacrifice and how much our own efforts really matter. What this incident has taught me is that planning is important, planning is necessary, but all those plans can be upended in a single moment, and we are left to begin all over from scratch with a whole new set of circumstances and brand new challenges. We didn't even see those coming. It's not that unexpected or unforeseen challenges occur, but rather how we respond to them that makes us successful. That force we call universe, spirit, or any other reverent name is always listening, always devising ways to give us exactly what we need most for our personal growth. There may be times when we struggle to find the advantage in the new circumstance, but there's a reason we have been given it. Now, when I engage in my prayerful driving, I am careful to include this new circumstance in my expressions of gratitude. I am careful to continue to ask for all the guidance and direction I need, and I have every expectation that Spirit will deliver whatever it is that will help me further my growth and spiritual awakening. And that is just a brief look at how I handle asking with intention. In our third and final segment of the Oracle Scroll, we take a question from an audience member and draw some cards to see if we can find some guidance for their question. So today we have a question from Jackie. And Jackie writes, I am in the middle of a divorce, which started out friendly, but lately is becoming much more contentious. I feel like I've already lost so much. I'm not sure how much more I can absorb. What do the cards have to say? Well, Jackie, hi. First of all, thank you for your question. Sometimes it's difficult to keep these kinds of life events from becoming adversarial. So let's see what the cards have to say in your situation. I drew 3 cards for you, and they are the 4 of Coins, the Tower, and the Justice card. The 4 of Coins is extremely significant here, as it advises you to keep financial matters in tight control. So it's kind of saying let's avoid any spending sprees and consider cutting back on unnecessary things, luxuries that you could get along without at this time. In your specific situation, it's also advising that you be very clear as to where the community assets are, the resources, as you want to be confident in your settlement agreement. So make sure you understand exactly where all of your joint property exists and how you're going to divide it properly. The Tower comes along. It's a major change card and indicates that sometimes the structures that we put in place must be destroyed in order to find the buried treasure we seek. There will be some significant losses. You've already experienced some of those, but in the end, they will be worth the sacrifice. Think about the caterpillar and the butterfly. No matter how complete a life the caterpillar thinks it has created, before it begins to build itself a cocoon and bring it all to an end, it can never fathom the beauty of emerging as a colorful butterfly. The Justice card comes along to insist that things be fair and balanced. It is human nature to want to see some punitive damages assessed to those who have hurt us. So this will be a big responsibility for you in this case to resist that urge to exact a punishment in the settlement. Now, be very clear about this. This does not mean that you should allow your future to be decided for you, but you need to stand up for your interests while maintaining a balance and fair attitude. In summary, make sure you are very clear as to what assets are being divided and keep a level head about what is fair and equitable settlement. What will constitute a fair and equitable settlement? Be fair without sacrificing your own security. You're already experiencing the greatest change in your life, so embrace it. There's no other choice. Embrace it and become proactive in dealing with it. Change is always a challenge, but when you're prepared for it, you can start to chart your best route through the mayhem. And then finally, remember that no matter what the provocation, you are determined to be fair and equitable in dealing with your soon-to-be ex or his representatives. You will no doubt get a great deal of advice from those close to you and those who care about you, but ultimately you are the one who will be responsible for weighing every bit of that advice very carefully. So Jackie, I hope that this is helpful in some way. It may look like a very long and dark tunnel, but it will not last, and you will come out of it on the other side. It's just being so that you can feel complete when you're finished with this project and move on to your future and your better life. Thank you, Jackie. And if you, as a listener, would like to submit a question for us to consider here, please forward that to theoraclescroll@gmail.com. And we will draw some cards and give you some advice. We will protect your identity. You will never use your real name, and the situation will never be one that we can trace back to you, so that we don't expose your private issues to anyone else, but give other people an opportunity to benefit from the trials and tribulations that you may be experiencing at the present. Thank you again. And this brings us to the conclusion of episode 17 of the Oracle Scroll. And we thank you once again for joining us today, and hope that you have enjoyed our program, and will pick up the subscription to all of the episodes that are available thus far. We produce one each week so far. We are looking at the possibility of expanding that in the very near future. We all also are available now on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and Facebook. So we've pretty much got all the favorite platforms covered. If there's some place that we aren't, that you would like to see us appear, please drop us a line at theoraclescroll.com and let us know. Any questions, comments, or even if you have a question for the readers to consider, please forward those to theoraclescroll@gmail.com. We are tickled to death with what we're doing. We're excited about the possibilities as we look forward, and we hope to include many more of our local spiritual teachers in our community and have them be a guest on our podcast. So if you're interested in joining us in that capacity, you can also contact us there at theoraclescroll@gmail.com. So thanks again for joining us. Please spread the word. Let everyone know that you have subscribed to the Oracle Scroll and how much you enjoy it, and let them know that this is available for everyone. And we look forward to seeing you for our next episode. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Oracle Scroll. Find us on Facebook at the Oracle Scroll. If you wish to send comments, suggestions, or requests, please address them to theoraclescroll@gmail.com.